back in March of 2025, a strange news report came out about the CIA saying that they knew where the Ark of the Covenant was. And it captured my interest because there was a lot in that report that no one else knew that was accurate. Now, Ron believed the growing interest in psychic phenomena and the belief that the dead are still alive and can communicate with the living would cause many people to be deceived. Back in the 90s, Ron and I were driving to Wisconsin to see my family, and I saw these lights in the sky. They were very, they were in a pattern, and they were going up and down, and all of this. It was very interesting, but they were going way too fast to be any kind of aircraft or anything we knew. I kept drawing Ron's attention to it, and finally he told me to quit looking. He said, Those aren't UFOs like you think they are. They're evil angels, and they're trying to deceive us. Quit looking at them. So we have to go to the Bible to see what's going on, to understand what's happening. Remember when Saul went to the sorceress of Endor and asked her to bring up Samuel for him because God had quit communicating with him? If you don't remember that, go to 1 Samuel chapter 28, verses 5 through 25. Saul believed he had been in communication with Samuel, but it was not Samuel. Now, people say they believe in God and Jesus, but they don't want to realize or recognize the power of Satan, even though the Bible warned us of his deceptions and corruptions. Now, you've heard of ESP, extrasensory perception. There's no such thing. I mean, what you're dealing with are evil angels, fallen angels who are communicating with you and making you believe that they are something that they're not, and people are going to be deceived. I know these things because as an idiotic 19-year-old, I got involved in paranormal phenomenon, which was nothing but putting yourself on Satan's ground. And believe me, just as God speaks to his saints through prayers and our impressions and things that, as Ron used to call them, Satan and his fallen comrades speak to those who are not children of God in the same manner, and sometimes they use more than just impressions. So Ron was fearful that people are going to fall prey to the works of the evil one and his followers. And we know from scriptures that angels can appear in any form that God desires them to be, like a talking donkey. But so can the fallen angels. It was my seeing what I thought were UFOs that brought up Ron and my initial conversation. He didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want me looking at him. And so that brings up the story about the CIA. Now, when I heard about this report and I found out that it could be seen online, I went to the CIA website and found it. And I downloaded it, and it's a number of pages. And the CIA had a program called Project Sunstreak. And it used people known as remote viewers to mentally locate and describe objects thousands of miles away. Now, the reason for this program was they were hoping to have remote viewers who could act as spies and find things in other countries. But remote viewing is defined as the acquisition and description by mental means of information blocked from ordinary perception by distance, shielding, or time, as stated by the Defense Intelligence Agency. In this classified report, it was revealed that remote viewer 032 was given a sealed envelope with the target in it, the target being the Ark of the Covenant. Now, it quickly faded from the news after it was first reported back in March of 2025. But I decided to check it out more thoroughly. There were things in there that captured my attention. In the summary report, it states that the viewer, who had no idea what he was supposed to be concentrating on, reported that the target was fashioned of wood, gold, and silver. Now, we know there's no silver on the ark, but it's pretty close. There might have been some other silver objects around there. That is located in the Middle East, accurate, and they saw mosque domes or minarets. There are plenty of those in Jerusalem, all around where this is. That it is underground, the target is underground. Its purpose is to bring people together, and it has something to do with ceremony, memory, homage, and resurrection. Now, isn't that interesting? It goes on to say that the target is protected by entities and can only be opened by those who are authorized to do so, and that it cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. Finally, it says that individuals opening the container by prying or striking are destroyed by the container's protectors through the use of a power unknown to us. As I went through the report, I saw that the viewer said the target was a container within a container. Now, if you know about Ron Wyatt's work, you know that he found the Ark of the Covenant in a stone box, in a cave chamber, in Jerusalem, and that it's mind-blowing when you come across something like that. But I found it interesting that on one page was a hand-drawn picture of a wheel that looked exactly like the gold chariot wheel Ron had found and photographed in the Gulf of Aqaba in February of 1988, just 10 months earlier. Now, this wheel has nothing to do with the Ark of the Covenant, but it ties it to Ron Wyatt. There was another drawing that the viewer had drawn while he was having his session. He drew a strange creature under his description, how it is opened, which he wrote was a seraphim. Now, there's a lot of true fact in this report, and I wasn't surprised by that. What surprised me was that it appeared that God had perhaps blocked Satan and his fallen comrades from actually seeing the ark itself. There was no mention of what was inside the container. Now, the remote viewing session was done a number of years before Ron entered the chamber by going through the tunnel which originates in Zedekiah's cave. So, at that time, in 1988, the ark presumably was still in the case Ron saw it in. Ron also hadn't seen the 4 angels in the cave chamber at that time, yet the remote viewer mentions entities that protect the target. The 4 angels Ron saw, who told him they had been with the ark ever since Moses had it built. But the thing that really got my attention was the word resurrection. How would that be connected to the Ark of the Covenant? Jesus represented his death, his blood represented the payment for sin, for every sacrifice, for every, you had certain sins demanded certain sacrifices. And then there was the final sacrifice on the Day of Atonement. Now that's the important part. In the earthly service of the sacrificial system,